It's old news by now, but Amberlynn Reid is taking a break. Colour me unsurprised and unmoved. She officially announced the other day that once again she's taking a break and she'll be back soon. Translation: I've been caught lying, the backlash is mounting, the comments are flooded with negativity, and I need some time to recalibrate my next excuse. It's not shocking, it's not new, it's not even disappointing anymore. It's just predictable. Her little break is well timed because I've actually been quite busy this week and the last thing I wanted to do was look at her videos. But I had a bit of time today, so I thought I'd sit down and think about what this break actually means, and why it's so predictable and damaging for her. I want to think about why it actually matters. Why it's not just fatigue or mental health, but a clear and well-worn damage control tactic, and why no one believes a word she says anymore. Amberlynn Reid doesn't take breaks when she's thriving. She doesn't take breaks when the content is consistent. She takes breaks when she's been caught in a contradiction, when viewers start demanding real updates on her health claims, when she misuses mental health as a shield instead of seeking treatment, or when she can't spin her lack of progress into quirky monetized growth. Every single time. She's not logging off to reflect, she's logging off to hide. And what's left of her audience isn't fooled anymore. Just the look in her comments proves it. This isn't the behaviour of someone being honest. It's the behaviour of someone who views accountability as harassment and skepticism as bullying. You cannot build trust with an audience when your platform is built on emotionally manipulative storytelling, inconsistent timelines, chronic non-delivery, and cherry-picked vulnerability. It all chips away at her credibility, and now there's nothing left but cynicism. She wants the emotional payoff of vulnerability without the cost of transparency. And that is the death of authenticity. Also, as an aside, she'll be away from YouTube, but I'm almost certain those memberships will remain active. No refunds, no updates, just people paying for silence. This isn't a content creator in crisis. This is a manipulator who has learned how to go ghost every time the narrative slips out of her control. But not before grabbing that money. At this point, I don't even know if people are mad. They're just bored. Bored of her lies, bored of her evasions, bored of her emotional bait and switch that turns every video into either a cliffhanger or a disappearing act. So take your break, Amberlynn. Rest, reflect, reset if you must. But don't expect applause when you come back with the same script slightly reworded with the same smirk and no accountability. This sudden disappearing act is not self-care. It's damage control. At this point, there's nothing left to control. The damage is done, and she's doing it herself. Her entire persona is built on a loop. Make a promise such as weight loss transparency, gain engagement and sympathy, contradict or abandon said promise, face backlash, cry bullying, disappear, return with a new promise or a trauma tale. Repeat. But it's not just repetitive, it's insulting. Viewers are not goldfish. They remember every "I'm taking my health seriously" declaration. They recall the streams where she honestly promises. They remember the videos where she vowed not to run from criticism. So when she once again disappears the moment her contradictions are spotlighted, it becomes evident. It's not a break. It's just an escape from accountability. Amberlynn's entire career hinges on storytelling. She's not a chef, she's not a comedian, she's not a makeup guru. She's a vague lifestyle vlogger. And a vlogger with no trust from her audience is a surgeon with no license. Cosmetically convincing, but fundamentally unqualified. These breaks just prove the growing opinion that nothing she says can be trusted. She claims to be serious about mental health and then drops her weigh-ins and therapy updates when they're inconvenient. She insists on honesty, then gets caught lying about timelines, meals, symptoms, medications. She cries about hate while gleefully monetizing trauma. When you disappear every time the questions get uncomfortable, you confirm what people already suspect. You're lying, or at best, evading. And either way, it's discrediting. This backlash is not bullying. It's not hate, it's consequence. It is the natural response to years of manipulation, contradictions, and broken promises. This is not reaction channels tearing down an innocent girl with a past. This is her audience finally saying, no, we are not applauding your performative vulnerability. We are not rewarding the same story for recycled sympathy. And we're not pretending that it's brave to disappear every time you're caught lying. The thing is, Amberlynn could have cultivated a compassionate and supportive community if she'd just chosen consistency, growth, and honesty. But instead she chose convenience over character. And now that people are catching on, she's fleeing the scene again. But with every exit and re-entry, her platform becomes that little bit more hollow. And the only thing that people believe anymore is that they can't believe her. But of course, there may be another layer to her so-called break. Just as she hit the eject button on her own platform, one of her exes resurfaced on Instagram. We all know which one. So suddenly Amber's "I'm taking a break" starts to reek of something else. It's not self-care, it's not emotional regulation, it's strategy. We can't pretend that this is new. Whenever the tide really turns on her like this, she delivers one of 3 time-worn refrains. There are 2 sides to every story. You don't know my real truth. I'm not ready to talk about that yet. What she's really saying is, I haven't figured out how to make myself look like the victim yet. At a certain point, the pattern becomes a statistic. Someone calls her controlling, another accuses her of lies, someone accuses her of manipulation, another hints at fear, someone speaks of emotional abuse, another speaks of physical harm. Different names, different people, different years, but always the same common denominator. Amberlynn Reid. This isn't a coincidence, it's a legacy. But as we all know by now, Amberlynn does not correct narratives. She smothers them under vague implications, half-truths, and emotional decoys. She doesn't want honesty. She wants an audience pliable enough to accept the performance she gives them, not the reality she creates. When she returns, it'll be to a carefully crafted monologue about healing, her truth, and how cruel the internet is. Again, for the record, she's not a victim of the internet. She's a victim of her own choices. Amberlynn is not just disliked, she's discredited, and that's a distinction that matters. In the world of digital creators, especially those documenting mental health, weight loss, or recovery of any kind, credibility is the currency. Not perfection, not even success or likability. Credibility. The belief that what you say reflects truth and intent. Amberlynn has systematically dismantled her own credibility. She makes bold declarations. I'm finally serious about getting help. I'm journaling, tracking, changing. And then contradiction, abandonment, silence. Once or twice, an audience might chalk this up to life being messy. But she's done this for a decade. The patterns are so consistent and so transparent that her viewers don't even speculate anymore. They predict. She uses mental health as her shield and her sword. Mental illness is real. Medication is real. But when you use these things only when convenient, like to shut down questions, deflect from criticism, or justify no progress, you're not raising awareness. You're weaponizing vulnerability. And what's worse is you undermine others who share the same struggles by turning serious topics into opt-out buttons. No one trusts someone who uses depression as a footnote to deflect accountability. It's not stigma breaking, it's manipulative theatre. She's turned her personal disarray into content. Trauma has become thumbnails. Crisis becomes clickbait titles. She profits from sharing until the sharing threatens her image, and then she needs a break. This just tells her viewers, I'll be vulnerable, but only if it gets me money or sympathy. And so no one believes her vulnerability. Not the trauma stories, not the addiction arcs, not the therapy talks. And it's not that people are heartless, it's that they've been sold this performance too many times. And when she gets called out on it, she never apologizes without conditions. She never owns her role without redirecting blame. She never says, I lied, without pairing it with, but you guys were so mean. In a space as intimate as weight loss vlogging, audiences need honesty. Instead, she's just made herself a brand of half-truths, where every admission is laced with prepackaged excuses. After this long, I have to wonder, could she ever really turn it around? And I think she could. But it wouldn't be with a comeback vlog or a mental health themed mukbang. Not with a new thumbnail style or a tearful "I've changed" speech. She'd have to rebuild her reputation. If she went silent for real and then came back completely differently, not a 2-week mental health break, not a poorly timed haul after an abuse allegation, but a full, genuine step away from YouTube to fix her life, not just her optics. She'd have to own up without excuses. No, I messed up, but you guys were so harsh. Not, I lied because I was scared. She'd have to say, I lied. I manipulated. I have used my mental health dishonestly. I lost trust, and I want to earn it back. And then she'd need to prove it and shut up. Quietly, consistently, and without performance. She'd have to stop making herself the victim of everything. People don't hate her because of her weight. They dislike her because of her behaviour, the lies, the gaslighting, the exploitation of serious topics for clicks. If she finally understood that and took real action to correct it, some people might return. Many wouldn't, but she could salvage her legacy, if not her entire audience. For the wider public, it's probably too late. The trust is burned, the bridge is ash, and she's dancing on it with her camera. But for the hardcore fans, it's probably not too late, because they don't hold her accountable. They enable. If Amberlynn wants to be more than a sideshow, she has to stop entertaining them and start confronting herself. She won't. In her mind, she's never wrong, and the people she's hurt are just haters. You can't rebuild credibility when you refuse to admit that it was ever broken. Again, this isn't healing, it's hiding. It's not growth, it's a revolving door of manipulation dressed in thumbnails. To those who still have hope, I commend your optimism. But don't confuse her absence with transformation. She's not reflecting, she's reloading. Some people change, and others, like Amberlynn, just rebrand the same delusion with a new haul.